All right, team, we ready to go? Ready to tee it up? Everybody found their way, found some lunch? Back in pretty good time. That's always good. All right, now, I'm going to get us just to go to the back page again here, which was page, need my glasses? 21, thank you. And so let's just talk about where we are in our journey. This morning we had a chance to take a look at the 3 levels of value, or in which we sell to: supply, solution, strategic. Got you to do a little bit of reflection on maybe 1 or 2 things that you could apply back on the job. And then just before lunch, we landed on maximizing the performance of our key influencers. And I just started to dip our toe into the pool around kind of managing that new client acquisition pipeline. So what I'd like you to do is a little reflection just on that last piece around the key influencers. Based on this morning, just tidy it up. What might be 1 or 2 things that you landed on as being valuable that you feel you could apply on the job? And that would be in box number 2, maximizing the performance of your key influencer relations. So anything that resonated with you that you think you could land on and apply back on the job. Sound good? Give me a minute just to write that down. Just get the pen back in the hand. Landing on paper. And just to think about that, we talked about building a key influencer team, building a little bit of an account plan for that key influencer, a goal for that key influencer. Now I know that this one might have been a push for some of you, which is okay, right? It's a little bit of thinking outside the box, being a little bit creative. Anybody just want to share something that resonated from that section with you, just around key influencer strategy? Yeah.
Actually determining who can be a key influencer.
There you go. Yeah, just determining who in the marketplace could influence, get you in front of the type of customer you're looking for. I think that's just a great exercise in itself, right? And thinking outside the box a little bit. Right? Thinking outside the box. Yeah. Anybody else? Something that resonated around that piece this morning. Conversion. How good is that? Knowing your conversion rate. That's important. Knowing your conversion rate. I like to refer to that as the science of selling. Really understanding that conversion rate. That allows me to understand what's my capability in sales. So I've always believed that high-performing salespeople have a good understanding of what their conversion rate is. All right. All right. And remember, if a telemarketer calls you, you're going to coach them, right? Give them a little bit of coaching feedback on the things they do well. There are opportunities for improvement, right? That's always good, too. Or you can give them my number. There you go. Now I'm wondering why nobody calls me anymore. That's a real disappointing thing. Okay. So I'm going to come back to the pipeline for a moment. I'm going to come back to the pipeline. So all of you, just before we went to lunch, kind of wrote down the number of new customers that you would like to acquire for 2017. We based it on the total amount of revenue. We broke it down into a number. So new customer acquisition number. We then talked about the concept of the active target and conversion rate. So team, what about this whole piece up here? So active target, that's somebody that I've called, I've met with, I'm learning about, but they haven't made the buying decision quite yet. I may have made a proposal, sent in a quote, but they haven't made the commitment to move forward in the buying decision. But I'm working them. They're in the pipeline. Qualified prospect, what are they? Qualified prospect, what are they? They're a lead. They're a lead. And they are a hot lead in some ways. If you think about it, there's suspects. There's all kinds of companies out there. There's prospects. But a qualified prospect is one where we have done some research, right? We've taken a look at their business. We've got some insight from our key influencer. Could be a lead from a client. But they are qualified in the sense that we are determined to want to reach out to them, set up an appointment, and meet with them to learn about their business. So how many of you do that? Is that the goal? You kind of get that qualified prospect into the pipeline, but the goal is to reach out to them to see whether they would like to invest some time with you where you could meet with them and learn about their business. Is that fair? And the objective is to learn about their business. It's not necessarily to go in there and try and pitch them a product today. It's to really kind of learn about, hey, what's their strategy to increase the presence of their brand? You know, what are they doing from a marketing perspective, a sales perspective? What are they doing from an incentive perspective? Your job is to go in there and understand what are they doing in their business And how does that align with the value that you could bring? Am I on the right track? Because I kind of got to get in there and figure out what they want to do because I'm not working with them, right? So that is a qualified prospect. So team, the top of the pipeline, when I think about my lead generators, that's the feeder. That's, hey, who do you know in the marketplace that I should be talking to? So I've got 3 numbers. Number of new customers that I want to land this year, active targets, the ones that I'm engaged with in the conversation, and qualified leads that are kind of coming into the top of the pipeline through my own eyes, my own ears, or my key influencers, my referrals. Out of those 3 numbers, right? Out of these kind of 3 buckets, which is the most important bucket in the pipeline to you? You say top, okay? Anybody else? Say the bottom one, all right? What else we got going on? Who says the active? Active? All right. So we got the top, we got the active, we got the bottom. Okay. Now before lunch, I talked about the health of the pipeline. If the pipeline is healthy, and I'm running a healthy pipeline, which of those determines whether that pipeline is healthy?
You have to be feeding that hot roll.
Okay. Okay, so Roz, here's the thought on this. If I have this number really healthy, if I've got this one healthy, this is simply just a feeder, right? So a lot of people will kind of say, well, the top, I want to make sure I got lots of qualified prospects. I always say, let's make sure we have the right qualified prospects, the right lineup of qualified prospects, so that when I need one, I can feed the active target. So team, for me, I like to make sure the middle part of this pipeline is healthy with my active target number. And when I need one, I don't necessarily have to have 100, 200, 300. If I've got a top 10 good list of qualified prospects that I can reach into when I need one, that's all I got to do. That's all I got to do. So for me, it's making sure the middle part of that pipeline is healthy, that I've got some good qualified prospects ready to go, that I'm always keeping the middle part close to my conversion rate. That's it. That's what I call the science of that pipeline. So it's not necessarily that means you have to have 1,000 people in the top of your pipeline. First of all, can you manage that? That's a lot of leads, right? That's a lot of leads. So really what you want to do is say, hey, my active targets, those are the ones that I really want to kind of keep moving through here. Okay, we've got our pipeline. Conversion rate that we're going to work on this afternoon is the conversion rate from lead to active target. What do you think I mean by that? Conversion rate that we're going to work on this afternoon is from lead to active target. Thoughts? Lead to active target. Qualified prospect to active target. How good is that? How to get the appointment. So I've got the name, got the company, and now I've got to make the reach, connect with that person, and cause them to say, I want to meet with you. What do you think? Now, is that easy to do? That is not easy to do. Now, it also depends on who you're reaching out to, right? Who is the key influencer within the organization that you're reaching out to? Can anybody give me an example of who you would like to set up a first appointment with for a new customer? Company you're not working with, who would you target first? So if somebody in marketing? Anybody else want to throw it out there to me?
HR.
Somebody in HR? Okay, anybody else? The owner. Anybody else? Vice President of Sales. Anybody going after the CEO? They never know. What's that?
We don't buy funnels.
They don't buy.
This is the owner, right?
They're the key influencers.
Now, think about your brand though, team. This is kind of cool. This is where I want you to be. At the supply level of selling, what are people technically, what are they concerned about at the supply level? Price, the product, the commodity. But at the solution level, they're concerned about, can you have an impact on our business? So do you think that there are some people in those customer organizations that have strategic goals to get their brand out there, to improve customer satisfaction, employee loyalty? Do you affect those kinds of priorities within an organization? Sure you do, right? Sure you do. You affect customer retention. You affect employee loyalty, right? You certainly affect brand presence. There's all kinds of things that you affect. But if I go in there positioning product, I look like product. But if I go in there understanding the person's business and what they're trying to do, and I can align what we do to help them get to where they want to go, I can pretty much talk to anybody in a business. So I want you to be brave here a little bit. I'd like you to think about who are some of those people that you might not traditionally reach out to, but they could be people that you should reach out to in the future, right? So that could be VP of sales, it could be VP of marketing, it could be something to do with branding, it could be many different people within that organization. Now, all of those people are being inundated with what? Yeah, from who?
People just like you.
Like you, like me, like everybody else. You see, the competitive level of getting the meeting today is not your direct competition. It's everybody that's trying to get on that person's calendar. So the question is, who has the best idea and knowledge about my industry business right now that would grab my attention? So team, we need to be very good at reaching out to people, whether that's on the phone, whether that's in an email message, whether that's introducing ourselves at a networking event or a trade show. We got to have a compelling message. Okay, so how many of you use the phone again to book appointments? Hands up nice and high. I do. How many of you think about what you're going to say before you say it? Have you ever picked up the phone and not thought about what you're going to say before you say it? They can go south real fast, right? Okay. I'm going to share with you a process. Now, it has a word in there. When you look at the words, you might cringe, but it's called the connectivity script. Now, it's not that I'm asking you to script. I'm asking you to think about what you're going to say before you say it. And it's got 5 components. Let me walk you through this. You'll see it in your guide. And it's kind of just a simple process that we're going to look at. So you're going to see these 5 steps in your learning guide. What page are we on? Thank you. Without glasses there, Roz. I'm desperate here. Page 8, okay? So here are these 5 steps. Now, I need somebody to be brave with me for a moment. You like that? The heart rate up, yeah? Everybody's maintaining eye contact, so we know that's good. I got 5 steps. I got an introduction. I've got demonstrate what we know, demonstrate preparation, what do I know about that business or industry or person that I'm calling. I got the value proposition, the value I can bring, not the product that I'm selling. Present the opportunity, which is the opportunity to meet, invest some time for me to learn about your business, to share some insight on how I can help you, and commitment to action when we'd like to do that. That's it. Those are the 5 steps. Okay? Now, salespeople do some really weird stuff when they reach out to people. Team, I do the opposite of what every salesperson does. And I'm going to share this gift with you today because I learned this from George on Seinfeld. And it was a huge breakthrough, Steve, because I was actually sitting there watching an episode of Seinfeld years ago, and I'm watching it, and I'm going, that's what I'm doing. I'm going to do the opposite of what my gut tells me to do. And see, in Seinfeld, George is sitting with Jerry, and they're in the restaurant. Now, you know you're in a great restaurant when the name of the restaurant is restaurant. Yeah, it's great, right? So, you know, your best place to go to for bacon and eggs is a place called restaurant, right? They're in the restaurant, and they're having a sandwich. And George looks at Jerry, and he says, Jerry, I've had a breakthrough. I'm doing the opposite of what my gut tells me to do. Jerry's going, like, what are you talking about? He says, well, I'm doing the opposite of what my stomach tells me to do, my insight. And it's working, Jerry, it's working. Jerry says, well, give me an example. He says, well, Jerry, right now I'm having an egg salad sandwich on rye. Usually I order tuna on whole wheat. I'm doing the opposite, Jerry. I'm having egg salad. Jerry's going, that's kind of light. What else you got going on? He says, well, Jerry, I would sit here in this restaurant and talk about a young lady that I might see in the restaurant and how I should go up and introduce myself, and all I would do is talk about it and never do it. And Jerry says, yeah, you're right. You would do that all the time. He says, Jerry says, that's it, George. That's the opposite. You can do the opposite today. And George sees this young-looking lady at the sandwich bar having a sandwich, and Jerry says, go introduce yourself to her, George. And George says, you're right, Jerry. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do the opposite. Usually I would sit here and talk about how I should introduce myself. I am going to go up there and introduce myself. So George gets up. He walks over to this young lady, taps her on the shoulder. She turns around, looks at George. George looks at her and says, hello. My name is George. I'm unemployed and live with my parents. And she says, where have you been all my life? A little opposite, right? So we're going to do the opposite. Salespeople do some things that cause them to look the same as everybody else. And what happens through that behavior is over time we condition prospective clients to have a reaction to a reach to them because it sounds the same. So, the introduction. What goes into a great introduction on the phone? Whew, trick question here. Maybe, maybe not. What goes into a great introduction? I pick up the phone. I'm a prospect. I answer it, and I say, good afternoon, this is Dave. What goes into a great introduction from you if you're calling me? Well, let's talk about that one in a moment, David, because we are going to do the opposite. You got it, you are. Now, does your name go into it? Yes, it does. Does your title go into it? Sometimes. Does the name of your company or brand go into it? Yes, it does. Would somebody like to give me their introduction? Little skill drill, Dave Holt, and live in front of everybody, all I'm looking is for the introduction. I mean, it's pretty simple. Who would like to do their introduction? I pick up the phone and say, good afternoon, this is Dave, and all you have to give me is name, title, brand, or name and brand. That's all I'm looking for. Anybody want to do that for me right now? Just the introduction, team. Steve? Look at this guy. I mean, let's give it up for Steve. He kind of, yeah, it's fantastic. So Steve, okay, so I'm going to pick up the phone. You ready to go?
Yep.
Okay. Good afternoon, this is Dave.
Hey, Dave, good to hear from you today. Steve Polish here from T&M Promotions, and I just wanted to talk to you about saving your company some money.
Okay, now we're going to do a little timeout. Very nice, Steve. Let's give it up for Steve. Steve, we're going to do it one more time. And I just want you to give me your name, your title and your brand, or your name and the brand. I'd like you to say, good afternoon, Dave. Name, brand, name, title of brand. Hang on for dear life.
Yep.
You ready? Let's try it again. Watch this. Take two. Good afternoon, this is Dave.
Hi, this is George Costanza from T&M Promotions.
All right, now what I'd like you to give me is your good afternoon, Dave. This is Steve calling from brand. Okay, you want to try it? Okay, you ready? David, we're getting where you want us to go in a moment. Good afternoon, this is Dave.
This is Steve calling from T&M Promotions.
Getting better. Let's give him a big hand. All right, now, team. David, why did you say, how are you doing today, that you do not like that?
Because I hear it from every single phone call sale.
Every salesperson says, how are you doing today? Thank you for saying that. Every salesperson says, how are you doing today? Do you know that how are you doing today is a habit? Just ask somebody. I ask them. I ask people. Telemarketer calls me and says this, Mr. Holt, how are you this evening? This is what I say. Thanks for asking. Let me walk you through it. It started about 5 o'clock this morning. Missed a flight today. I'm behind on 2 projects. I don't know about you. We've got snow early this year. Couldn't even rake the backyard. I'm behind on the job jar, and I'm feeling a lot of stress. I actually got a big day tomorrow, too, now that I think about it. And as I go through it, all of a sudden they say what to me? Anyway, the reason I'm calling is I wanted to know whether you need new windows. Hold on a second here. Let's back this up, please. I thought the reason you were calling is because you wanted to see how I was doing. Is that fair? You asked me how I was doing. So David, I take it out of my vocabulary. Because team, the reality is, we don't care. I mean, we care, but do we really care? Because if somebody actually said to you, you know what, thanks for asking, let me walk you through it, you're kind of going, So just take it out. Now, I did a little study on this. When I go name, title, brand, and hang on for dear life in the silence, and wait, there's an amazing thing that happens in the reaction from people. 9 times out of 10, what do you think somebody will say when I do not say, how are you doing? Do you have a few minutes? But I simply pause on my company. They say 2 things. Dave, how can I help you? Dave, what can I do for you? Or Dave, how are you today? Now, even if they say, what do you want, Logan? Even if they say that, who cares? I'm through that gate. Is that fair? I'm through it. That is what I call the opposite on the introduction. Right? That's as simple as it gets. I say, Dave, hey, I say, this is Dave Holt. You say, good morning, Dave. This is Dave calling. Boom. Hang on for dear life. Now, my record on the phone, in the silence, on the introduction, is 9 seconds. So if any of you want to reach out to me and let me know if you beat that record, let me know, because that's a pretty impressive record. 9 seconds is a long time. Nobody was saying anything. I'm not going to say anything because it's not my turn. Right? I'm hanging on in the power pause. But here was the brilliance of this. All of a sudden, this person who was on the phone said this to me. Dave Holt. Dave Holt. Dave, why do I know your name? What were they doing for 9 seconds? Thinking. And all I was doing was giving them a chance to think. Now, if you land name, title, and on your brand, if the last thing they hear is your brand on the introduction, the only thing they can think about in that moment is what? Do they know you? Do they know your brand? However, if the last thing you land on is, how are you doing today? The thing that they're thinking about right now is, how am I doing today? What do you think, team? That is the opposite of what every salesperson does. Take it for a test spin. You have to be brave in the silence. If you're on hold all day, only kidding you. All right, take that. Now, second part. This is the opposite of what salespeople do. Now, it's interesting. It's interesting. Because Steve, thank you for putting it out there, man. Thank you for putting it out there. But if you think about it, Steve did talk a little bit about his value proposition. Is that fair? You started to tell me something about your business. Can you remember those words that you used?
Yeah, would you like to save some money?
Right on. So that's what you said, right?
Yeah. I've got other ones.
No. But I just want to think about where was Steve? So his introduction, and then he said, Dave, would you like to say, I've got some ideas on how we can save you some money, right? Yeah. Which step did he go to? So he went here. Now this is good stuff, but there was a step just before that. See where I'm going? Now, here's the trick. What is it that you've researched? What have you found out about that company that you know about their business that is compelling, where you think you can provide value? Does that make sense? So this is where I'm leveraging my demonstration of preparation. What do I know that is compelling? So for example, let's say I just make something spot for you right now. Steve says to me, Dave, congratulations. I understand that recently there was a significant acquisition your business made in another company in the marketplace, and that's allowed you now to have #1 market share in your industry. And I'm going, who is this guy? Yeah, that's a big priority. So what does that have to do with you? What does that have to do with you? He says, well, actually, Dave, it has to do a lot with me. In fact, our organization works with companies like yours to make sure that we get that story out there and really make sure that there's consistency in that branding. Oh yeah, what do you do? Well, that's why I'm, right? See what I'm doing? So what I'm doing is I'm finding out something that's compelling that's going on in your industry or your business, and I'm trying to align that with the value that we bring. Not the product that we sell, but the value that we bring. And I'm trying to align those two things. Now, what's not compelling is doing this. Because I thought this was compelling a number of years ago. I called a president of a company, and I said this. I know that you're located in 10 cities across Canada. And he said, wow, we're in 10 cities across Canada? Now, for a split second, I thought I added a tremendous amount of value. Maybe, just maybe, the president of this company only thought that they were in 8 cities, and I reminded him that they were in 10. That is not compelling research. It's got to be something that we're digging in. This is where I leverage my key influencers. I'm not looking for information that's very confidential to the company. I'm looking for things that are very compelling and relevant. And what I'm looking for, are there things there that suggest that they would have a need for my insight and the value that I can bring? Now, you've got to get away from thinking about the product. You've got to start thinking about the impact of your solution on the productivity, performance, and profitability of that business. So that's the opposite. Now, a lot of salespeople will start here, but the problem is they'll start to tell a story about them. I want you to tell a story about the prospective client. There you go. That is the opposite. And what happens is people kind of go, well, yeah, and you almost create dialogue. You create dialogue. Now, we got 2. The value proposition is really the story about you, but it's got to be aligned with what you know. So I can't get talking about, hey, I understand that acquisition, and I can't get talking about that, and then position value that's not aligned with that. So those 2 things have to be aligned. Now, what do you think I mean by present the opportunity? What is the opportunity that I'm presenting? What am I asking for? What's the opportunity that I'm really presenting this prospect?
Come in and see them.
That's it. Now, but it's not just about a meeting. It's for me to be able to do what I do best. Right? Now, a lot of salespeople say really weird things here. They'll say things like this. I'd love to get together with you. You ever said that? I'd love to get together with you. What do you mean you'd love to get together with me? I don't even know you. I know, but I'd love to get together with you. Or, I just need 5 minutes of your time. What do you mean 5 minutes? How can you have a consultative investigation about somebody's business in 5 minutes? So I like to use energy words. And these are words that I use. And energy words are action words that sound different, and they just grab the ear. They resonate with the ear. So you can try these. 3 words that I use are invest, learn, and share. Invest, learn, and share. So if I were to say, Steve, I'd very much like to invest some time with you and your company. Learn more about your acquisition strategy, and share with you some insight on what we're doing in our organization to help companies like yours take your brand to market. Whatever that is. That's it. Just invest, learn, and share. So I very much like to invest some time with you to really learn more about your business and share some insight on how I'm working with organizations like yours. What do you think? They're different words. Now, what do I mean by commitment to action? Set up the time. Now, team, we just did an exercise this morning around revenue, value, revenue generating activities. Salespeople devalue their time when they ask for time. What do you think they say when they ask for time?
When can I go and see you? When are you available?
Yeah.
You ask me, and then I'm like, well, anytime this week. And then I realize, like, I am that available.
Yes, that's a great example. We devalue our time, Karen. We say weird things like, I'd be available anytime this month. I'm just looking for somebody to say, yes, that's it, right? We got to kind of send a message that we are and you are busy. So providing people with like an alternative choice using AM and PM week 1, week 2. I call that macro commitment to action. Alternative AM, PM within a week or 2. That's it. Simple. So it could be me saying, Roz, I'd be available to invest some time with you next Thursday in the morning, or in fact, the following Wednesday in the afternoon. Does either of those work for your schedule? So what I'm doing is I'm putting out 2 options with a macro window, but I'm being very precise to say, here's my availability. And it's almost like I'm saying, pick one. Which one works for you? Now, there's only 1 or 2 things that are going to happen at that moment when I ask for that commitment. Only 1 or 2 things. 1, they're going to say what? Positive self-talk here, team. I heard the no. I want the positive self-talk first.
Those times won't work for me, but.
Okay. I'll take Wednesday at 9. There's the positive self-talk. There's 1. 2 is, that AM, PM doesn't work. That's fine, we're just negotiating calendar time. Or 3rd is, not interested. Or 3rd is, I'm too busy. Or 3rd is, if this got anything to do with X, we've already got a supplier. Or 4th is, if that has anything to do with Y, we don't have a budget. Do they sound familiar? We all have the same ones. We'll deal with those ones later. Because they're all false. They really are all false. Okay. By the way, on the phone, my record on objections handled 4 different objections back to back, back to back, back to back. It was incredible. It was really a lot of fun. Guy says, Dave, appreciate the call. I'm just so darn busy. Handled that one. What do you think I said? No. Went to my value proposition. Went to the solution. Didn't go to that one. I just said this. Absolutely, I understand you're busy, Joe. I understand you're busy. Your company is growing. Your company is expanding. You're hiring new salespeople, and I respect the fact that you've got a lot on the plate right now. In fact, Joe, that's why I'm reaching out to you today, because that's what I do. I work with leaders. I work with sales organizations to look for ways to save them time. Give me that chance. How's next Tuesday or Wednesday? Nah, it's not that I'm really too busy. What is it then, Joe? Well, we kind of got some training going on in-house, and we're quite happy with that. Hey, Joe, totally understand, respect the fact that you've got a partner working with you in-house. In fact, I've got a lot of clients of mine that I work with to support their internal training strategy. Very much like to have the opportunity to learn about yours, share some insight on how I might be able to support you going forward. How's next Tuesday or Wednesday? We don't have a budget. Come on, Joe. Let's talk about it. I understand that budget's important. And you're going to be planning for that budget. Let's get ahead of it a little bit. Let's sit down. Just give me a chance to learn about your business, share some insight. And that'll give you a good chance to think about maybe where you need to invest in your sales team in 2017. How's next Tuesday or Wednesday? Not interested. Joe, I've got 1 left. This is it. Really? Why? I'm writing them down. They're pretty good. Joe, stop stealing my stuff. Only kidding you. That's fun though, right? When you're selling to sales guys. Anyway, team, a lot of salespeople run from objections. That's what we do. Team, if somebody says to you, I'm too busy, and you say to them, is there a better time? You're running from the objection. If they are busy, they need you. You need to embrace the objection. If somebody says to you they're not interested, does that hurt? If somebody says to you they're not interested, you've just done a lot of research on their business, you really believe that you can help them, and they said, I'm not interested, would that hurt you? Hurts me. It hurts me, Steve.
It doesn't hurt me.
Well, it does me. Can you imagine this? A young man saves 6 months of salary to buy a beautiful diamond ring for his high school sweetheart that he's been involved with all his life. Finally, he's going to ask her at a restaurant to marry. He's going to ask her to spend the rest of her life with him. They're in the restaurant, and he goes for it. It's packed. He goes for it. He gets down on one knee. He's got 6 months of salary invested in this box. He looks her in the whites of the eyes, and he opens up that box, and he says, "Will you marry me?" And she says, "Not interested." And he says, "All right, I'll call you back in 6 months, see what's going on." I mean, come on, man. We'd fight for that. We'd be hurt, right? We got to be humble sometimes, right? When people say to us, we're not interested, we need to say to them, "I'm disappointed that you're not. I know a lot about your industry. I know a lot about your business. And I really believe that we could provide a significant amount of value." And just hang on for dear life. And the worst thing that can happen to you is when they hang up that phone, they're sitting there going, "Who was that?" Like, who was that? That's fantastic stuff. Okay, here's what we're going to do. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to build one. We're going to build one. And we're going to kind of script out. I'd like you to think about a prospective customer. Anybody got a prospective customer that you'd like to set up a meeting with? Okay, it's a good team. There's a few hands that went up. I'd like you to literally, just for fun, script out what that conversation would sound like on the phone. Now, here's what's really cool. I do this on the phone, and this is exactly how I set it up in an email. This is actually how I would drop it in a voicemail. And we'll talk about those concepts as well. Right now, what I'd like you to do, just script it out using those 5 steps. Word for word, what would it sound like? Sound good? Now, this is a push after lunch. It's grinding you out after lunch here. Let's see if we can come through on this. I'm going to give you some time to work on this. So you can actually do it. If you have some notes in there, if you want to find some space, it's actually the template's on page 8, right? Some of you might have taken some notes in there, but see if you can squeeze it in. Or find somewhere else that's got some paper that you can get it down there, okay? You've got your little handout book as well that was given to you. You can put it in that little mini notebook that you had. Just follow the process and script it out. See what you come up with. How many of you you've got some words down there? How many feel like you put some energy words down there? Try some energy words. What I'd like you to do, team, is be brave. Do something different. It's going to feel a little strange. Here's what's really interesting. I want you to seem different. People get caught up in people that are a little different. So just by doing that pause and an introduction, it feels different. Starting with a story about them feels different. Presenting the value that you can bring opposed to the product that you sell is different. Using energy words like invest, share, and learn is different. Commitment to action with alternative choices, AM and PM, within a week or two is different. Just try it. See what happens. Now, when I kind of facilitate pieces, this one I facilitate with a tremendous amount of conviction. Because it works. Exactly how to use. Being it's fun. It's fun being different on the phone. It's fun being different in an email. Now, here's what you're going to do. In your team of 2, or a few select teams of 3, I'm going to ask you to do a mini little skill drill where one of you will play your partner's prospective customer. You'll get a chance to practice making that little phone call to that customer. Here are the instructions. Customers, prospective customers. Be nice. This is not about beating up your fellow colleagues. This is simply an opportunity for somebody to present something, try something, and get some nurturing feedback on what they do well and maybe some things that they might want to consider. I would like you to coach. Okay? And remember this. Whatever you do, partner, you're saying, here's who you're going to be, I'm going to make the phone call. I just want you to let your partner go through their script. And then ask them this question: what did you like about it? What resonated with you? Anything that you would do differently? Just give them a chance to practice it. Sound good? After you do that first round of practice, have your other partner now take theirs for a test spin. You're going to switch roles and have them practice their script, and you give them some feedback. Now, something happens just that you sit there going, man, that was good. That was really good. Now, what I'd like you to encourage your partner to do is to say, I'm going to share this with a larger group. I'm going to ask Dave to do what Steve did. I'm going to put myself out there. Dave's going to play the prospect, and I'm going to go start to finish in front of 35 people and really get my heart rate up. Because I know this, if I can do this in front of 35 people, it's going to be a piece of cake to make this call. What do you think? And just think about it. If you called the prospect on Monday and they said, not interested, you could say this: what do you mean not interested? The person I practiced on said they were interested. Okay, so ready to go? 2 rounds of practice, okay? Just chill in. I'll let you take it for a test spin. Okay, let's see what we got. Okay, team, nobody panic. That was pretty good. I was cruising around the room a little bit just to kind of get a sense of what was going on out there, and I was pretty impressed. First of all, that was a skill drill. Let me ask you this. Was it worthwhile just to kind of, just throw it by your colleague, get him to listen to it, give you some gentle feedback on the things that you do well and maybe some things you could tweak or do differently next time?
I love the pause. When you pause, literally, it causes like this little tiny bit of awkward moment, and it almost forces the other person to say, "Oh, so what can I do for you?" Right, like what you said. I love the pause.
Yeah,
it's brilliant.
Actually, it's a good point because it equalizes the deal. You're no longer groveling to try and get his business. He's now groveling to figure out who the hell you are.
that's it. That's it. So what's happening? Can you imagine, because think about it when we're on the phone. We race from start to finish because we just want to get everything in. So we're asking for the appointment. They're still back there going, who are you? So we need to be at the exact place they are. So I like to pause at the introduction. If I have a compelling statement about their business, I like to pause and let them reflect on that. And then I like to present the value I can bring and then start moving through to my end result. That pause is very... Now remember, team, I saw a few of you write it down. It's okay to write it down. I saw you write pause. Just don't say pause, okay? It's okay. Like it's just, I saw you write it down. Just don't say it. That's it. Pause, right? That's it. Just count. Okay. Now, the pause actually creates dialogue, right? That's what it does. It creates dialogue. But team, here's the interesting thing about the pause. People aren't used to it. We're not used to it. So when you do it, it's different, right? Okay. Yes.
Is it okay to ask people if we put a bad time?
So this is a great question. Where would you position? Do you have a quick minute for me, or is this a good time? I know it's 50-50. There's risk in it, right? Introduction. Do you have a few minutes for me? Do you have a quick minute? How about just after demonstration of preparation? Right there. So if you give me the compelling statement, if you position it there, Karen, and said, Dave, the purpose of my call is I understand that your business has had significant growth in your industry, and you've actually now are the number 2 player in your marketplace. Do you have just a quick minute for me? I'd position it there. It's off that compelling situation. Does that make sense? Now, team, it's 50-50 because I go for it. I tend not to ask that question. I just go for it. But I'm absolutely okay, Karen, if you do. If you ask permission, say, do you have a quick minute for me? But as long as you kind of consider possibly putting it here. Now, what if I was referred? What if I was referred, I'm reaching out to Karen, she's the qualified prospect, I'm calling her for the first time, but Roxanne gave me Karen's name. Where would I position Roxanne? Yeah, I'm going to get Roxanne's name up here real quick. And am I going to position Roxanne again? I'm actually going to position my key influencer 2 to 3 times through that script. So it might sound like this. Karen, it's Dave Holt calling. Dave, what can I do for you? Karen, Roxanne asked me to reach out to you today. Pause. Oh yeah, I know Roxanne, yeah. Karen, the reason Roxanne wanted me to give you a call is she mentioned to me that you've had significant growth in your business, right? I'm sticking to my script, right? And when I get here, I'm talking about my value proposition. When I get here, I'm saying, Karen, Roxanne thought it would be very worthwhile for you and I to invest some time together. See what I'm doing? I'm driving my key influencer into places in the script to keep that urgency up. Make sense? It's kind of fun. So that's what I'm using that template for. Now, I'm not reading it. Team, I've got my introduction down pretty good. Unless I'm having a really bad day, I have to write it out. Is that fair? I do not have to write, hello, my name is Dave Holt, unless I'm having a very bad day. So I got that piece. The 2 pieces that I got to think about are the demonstration of preparation. That's the research that I'm doing. And a lot of you struggle with this part because I didn't give you a chance to do what? Research. Yeah, like you had nothing to work with. So we knew that was going to be a bit thin, but going forward, we got to dig into the research. What's going on in that industry? What's going on with that customer's business? Google alerts, press releases, get in there, dig around. Sometimes we talk about things in an industry or business and people go, we've merged? No, only kidding, it's not that bad. But it's digging in, right? It's digging in and finding these things out, okay? Value proposition, I should have a standard one, but it should flex against what I know about their business, right? That's very important that the value proposition is aligned with what I know about their business. Okay, so I'm researching things where I know I can play and I can add value. That's very important on that piece. Present the opportunity, I'm just using energy words consistently, changing them up a little bit, what's working for me. I just position those. Good exercise? Now, Ken?
I used to say, instead of saying, how are you, good afternoon. And that would force them to say something back to me. I can't do it. But many times it would be just good afternoon and I'm really no farther ahead. So I guess what I'm saying is, this seems really weird just to say 2 things, who you are and who your company is, but is that better than adding good afternoon?
So you could, if I picked up the phone, could you not say to me, Ken, good afternoon, Dave. This is Ken calling from company, and hang on.
Yeah, well, what happens, I find if I say who I am and who I'm with, like I'm listening to crickets.
Yeah.
Already. So
that's good.
I would throw good afternoon into that cricket spot.
Yeah.
Spot to see to move it forward, but that's probably not a good idea, is it? Because it really doesn't move it forward. I haven't put any pressure on him really. You could just say good afternoon, or sometimes they ignore that. Just you say good afternoon, and they're still just yeah.
So just try the pause, and hang on for dear life. Just see what happens to you, right? Yeah, and somebody's going to go. Somebody might say this to you: "How can I help you today?" And you're going to go, "Man, that worked. What worked? Oh, nothing. Okay, that's it, right? That's what's going to. No, now let's see it. Anybody like to take it for a test spin? How good is that? Oh man, do you think, as a facilitator, as a coach, that was going to be that easy for me? Okay, man, I'm giving you the mic for this. So, no, you can just stay there. So
Awesome.
You can stay right there. For this exercise, and sorry, your name is?
Oh, me? Pearson, sorry. That's
Pearson.
over my head.
So Pearson, just so I have it. So Pearson, you can stay where you are.
Yeah.
For the exercise, I want you to stick to your brilliance, okay?
Okay.
Just stick to the scripting part. Team, the rest of us are going to give our undivided attention to Pearson. He's putting it out there for us. I'm going to play your prospective customer, and then we're going to give you a little bit of feedback, all right?
Sounds good.
Okay, man, so who you calling? Who am I going to be?
All right, well, so we basically got hired on with our company to basically do like new customer acquisition. And so we're just doing like kind of like a cold call. It's like a first encounter. And so basically just kind of going off of that. And before we're trying a new thing of like pipeline management, of trying to really develop before the sale.
Okay. Now, Pearson, what company are you going after? Who am I going to be?
I don't have one off the top of my head.
Okay, let's just think about one. Who might it be?
Just Dave's Back Scratchers.
Okay. So that's who I am, and I sell back scratchers.
Yep.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, the best back scratchers.
Oh, my last name is Back Scratchers, or I sell back scratchers?
Sell back scratchers.
Perfect. Now, what do you know about me? What's going on in my business right now?
Well, here, can I do the call?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
Okay. So I'm going to pick up the phone. You ready?
Yeah.
Here we go. Good afternoon. This is Dave.
Hi, Dave. I'm Pearson with Adware and Promo Stuff.
Pearson with Adware and Promo Stuff. Pearson, not sure if I know Adware. I'm not sure if I know Promo Stuff, and I'm not sure if I know you. What can I do for you?
Well, Dave, I know this is our first encounter here, but so I have noticed that your company is really trying to expand through brand recognition and awareness, but you're still exploring some different routes to get there and achieve that, correct?
Yeah, how'd you figure all this out, Pearson?
Well, the internet is an amazing tool, Dave, and I'd like to just say that I took some time to just really invest in learning about your business.
Okay.
And so, now listen, I know this, like I said, this is our first encounter, so I'm not going to try and sell you over this first phone call and first encounter, but I would love the opportunity to learn more about some of these avenues that you've looked at, as I think I would actually be able to help build your brand development and get you to where you need to be.
Okay.
And then that's kind of like...
Close me, man. Close me.
And so, like, I know you're very busy as you are the owner of Dave's Back Scratchers, and I was just kind of curious on this. Are you available anytime in the next week or two, and like on Tuesdays or Wednesdays, AM, PM, or...
Okay, we're at a roll, man. Let's give it up for this guy. Pearson, stay right there. Hang on to the mic. How good was that? Now, I'm going to start with you first, but first of all, how's your heart rate?
It's going.
That's fantastic. Pearson, that is fantastic, because there's a couple of things that you do exceptionally well, man. And the day that I wake up and do a presentation like I'm doing today and my heart rate is not up and going is the day that I'm no longer doing this for a living. Your heart rate's got to be up, man. We just need to learn to control it. What happens when your heart rate is up? Physically, what happens? You speed up, right? That's where the pauses come in. They slow down the heart rate a little bit, right? That's what they do. Now, Pearson, we're going to start with you. What did you do well, exceptionally well, just going through that? That was awesome. What did you like about your storyline here?
Well, I went on like the whole do something different. I know a lot of people on their first encounter over the phone try and sell right away. So, like I said, I'm trying to get away from the selling point of like for the first encounter and trying to do it later on and trying to understand the client, I guess.
How good was that? This wasn't about selling your product today, Dave. This was simply about trying to understanding your business. That's what I felt here. What else did you do well, man? What stood out for you?
I don't know.
Okay. Lots of things this young man did well. We're going to go to the floor. Team, what did you observe that you thought that Pearson did exceptionally well in front of 35 of his colleagues going live with Dave Holt? David.
No open-ended question. He didn't have a question that would be able to shut him down.
What do you think? All right. Very nice. Anything else that you thought he did well? Logan.
He used humor.
He did. He used some humor. Loved it. Yeah. Anything else?
So that's what I was going to say. Is with the internet comment was very funny and it was engaging.
It was cool. Now watch this, Logan. Watch this, Pearson. Here's what I thought was really cool. How was I behaving with him early? Yes. What did you notice about that young man? I tried to put him under pressure. What did you notice? He didn't even flinch. It was like the power pause right off the bat. Do I know you? I don't know you. What do you want? Dave. Yeah, I understand this is what's going on in your business. How'd you find that out? The internet. It's powerful. Like this guy was cool as a cucumber. Like I had thrown everything at him, he didn't even flinch. Man, that was pretty impressive. Now, to take that from good to great, great to greater, anything you'd tweak, do differently when you go to make this call?
Yeah, at the very end, I noticed that what I said in the next week or two, I don't know, like from some sales tactics that I've learned, it's like usually you can leave people with two different options, and then you're kind of like assuming for them. People inherently like to just agree. So I don't know, but I gave you like, oh, so are you available in the next week? You could have said no. I should have said right away, it's like, what kind of dates are you available? Or like, hey, I'm available Tuesdays and Wednesdays.
There you go, man. There you go. I like it. That's where you're going, right? So you gave that nice little try there. I got the, you know, the whole invest, right? To get that in there. Just ask me, Dave, I'd be available to learn about your business next Tuesday morning or the following Wednesday afternoon. Which of those two works best for you? And just ask me. What do you think? And just go for it. How good was that, man? Good exercise? Yeah. Whew. Let's give it up for that guy. I love it. All right, team. We're 5 minutes over. Again. So I'm doing everything I can here, Karen. All right. We're taking our energy break. This is a 13-minute stretch, okay? 13 minutes.